Anybody else want to
Yeah,
address that?
I'd say a few things on this. The first is that in some ways, don't shoot, with respect to the media, don't shoot the messenger. It's not that the media is constantly saying is the military option on the table. It's either members of Congress or, commentators saying we need to make sure that the military option is on the table. And on the one hand, I'm enough of a realist to think that there is no such thing as negotiation without at least the specter of force in the background, even if you don't talk about it. And I agree with you that talking about it repeatedly actually does have a deleterious effect on negotiation. But let's not be naive here. It's always present in the background. But in some ways, this actually gets to something I didn't talk about, but also I think partially explains the sort of creeping militarization thing, which is if you're not in the military, if you're a member of Congress or whatever, it's cheap to be a hawk. It's very cheap to say we have to make sure that the military option is on the table. I think we have to consider the military option for X. I think we need to think about the military option for Y, because it makes them sound tough on defense. It somehow sounds reasonably appealing to their district, and they don't have to pay the consequences for it. And so I think that's an issue that is disturbing down the road. And I'll be curious to see if that continues going forward.
I'm good. Anything? Okay.
Yep.
Right here.
Bob Miara, Army Material Command. I guess this question is for those on stage in general. As we've talked about rebalancing and somehow breaking through the cynicism, is it now incumbent upon the institutional leaders of the military to champion a rebalancing of the budget, to say that we ought to do less, maybe behind closed doors? I realize this is kind of dicey territory, but is this something that would somehow respond to that cynicism, that the issue of political will, that those in uniform, those that are institutional leadership, need to be championing it in order to turn that ship in that direction?
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, here's what I would say. Look, I mean, politics is everywhere, so small p politics. And interestingly enough, at a point, there wasn't so long ago when you had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense saying shove more money to civilian agencies of government. That was before the Budget Control Act of 2011, and certainly before sequestration, when everybody is, at this point, has filled their sandbags and have dug into their parapets and are ready to defend their budgets to the end. I'm not sure that's going to happen. It would be quite magnanimous on the part of the military to do that publicly. But again, I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is actually external to the military. I think that there is no appetite for it, frankly, on Capitol Hill, where that ultimately would be funded and decided.
Let me go full-blown cynic here, which is that what you're describing actually happened, between 2008 and 2011, in that you did have, major, you had the